I actually like this move. I mean, I don't like it as much as having Kevin Durant, but the fact that you were going to lose Kevin Durant, I thought this was a good move, and I don't understand why everybody is like, oh, they just got him to trade him. I think you give it a shot, see if it works, and if not, you can move him at the deadline, you can move him next summer, but I actually think he's a good fit. I think, one, with Brooklyn and Golden State, they played at about the same pace last year. He played fast, so I think he'll fit in with Golden State playing fast. A lot of people are saying, well, he was second in the league in pick and roll last year behind Kemba Walker. Golden State doesn't run a lot of pick and roll. He almost ran as many by himself as the entire team. However, Steph Curry ran a ton of pick and roll when Mark Jackson was the coach. And his numbers individually were actually better than they were under Steve Kerr when he won his first MVP. But Steph was able to adjust. I think D'Angelo can adjust. I think he's got all the skills needed to be effective in their offense. He can catch and shoot. He can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range. He can go off the dribble. He's a good passer. He's got the floater in the lane. He's a decent finisher at the rim. I actually think it's going to be good. And I think he's 6'5". He's a big guard, big point guard. But you can play he and Steph together in the backcourt, and when Klay gets back, I think you can play Klay at the 3. Now, defensively, it'll be some challenges, but I actually think offensively they can work well together.
So they will have, even when all 3 come back or when Klay comes back, height-wise they'll be okay because Steph is bigger than people give him credit for. He's almost 6'4". You mentioned D'Angelo Russell 6'5". Klay's about 6'7".
Yep.
So height, but defensively, Klay is an excellent perimeter defender, but if you're going to ask him to guard the toughest position in the league, which is small forward, you could have some challenges there, particularly if Steph and D'Angelo are your 2 guys guarding the opposition's guard in the West. Whether you're playing the Rockets with Harden and Westbrook, you're playing the Blazers with McCollum and Lillard. Like, there's enough guard combos that defensively this team could be in a really rough spot. I understand why they did it. They did it to stay afloat. They did it because we all saw what the Warriors looked like with no KD and no Klay briefly in the playoffs. And that would not be fair to Steph. You couldn't, after 5 straight trips to the finals, say, hey, Steph, for 45 games, just have teams box and 1 you if they want to. And so, and to get an asset when Kevin Durant's walking out the door, I understand. But this isn't, the fit doesn't make a ton of sense in my eyes, because of the pick-and-roll stuff, because of the defensive limitations, and you get him not to flip him this offseason, but to flip him, like you said, either at the deadline or next offseason for assets, so you can try to recoup something for Durant a year later. I don't think you look at this team and you say they're worse with D'Angelo Russell, but they have an obvious ceiling even when Klay comes back, with or without D'Angelo Russell in my eyes.
It was obvious that Kevin Durant was going to leave. And if you look at the options they had, if you lose a max player and you don't trade him, you don't get anything for him.
Yep.
So what options did they have? Right. Okay, we're just going to let KD go out the door. So just like Rob Pelinka, they did a great job after the Kawhi thing as far as how we're going to divvy up this money. They did a great job as far as filling out the rest of that roster. The Warriors did, it's the only thing they could do. Minnesota was ready to make a deal for D'Angelo, go there and play with the Timberwolves. They decided to be able to get them in a sign and bin trade, to be able to make their roster. They picked up another asset. So for the organization, even if they weren't going to a new building, I can understand trying to put a competent team out there for that fan base with those prices they're going to be paying. But from a basketball operation, to be able to trade for another all-star, he does fit what they're going to do, because there's 2 areas that Klay, if you look at when you tear your ACL, what will you struggle at? Number 1 on the offensive end, shooting those 3-pointers, coming off those picks. He doesn't dribble a lot. So getting his hips square and his knees, getting them square to the bucket like he always does. He's a classic jump shooter. That I believe that will take a little more time. And on the defensive end, because that you are more vulnerable. You can't see pick and rolls. And guys, once they tear their ACLs, they are vulnerable to people being on their outside of their legs. So you can expect him to maybe lose a little tick on the defensive end. So you guys are talking about D'Angelo Russell now playing defense and Steph playing defense. And we can't expect Klay to be a shutdown guy that was in the finals. We should expect him athletically just to lose a little bit until the following season where he'll be closer to 100%.
I actually think when Clay is 100%, if this is the team with Clay, I think they're the third best team in the West.
Wow.
I really do. I think people – now, I don't think they could beat the Clippers or the Lakers right now, even with Clay. But I think people are writing them off way too early. I think their system – I mean, again, they didn't always have Kevin Durant. And they still won the championship and we're a great team.
I agree. Listen,
games.
and I have said for a long time that I thought the Warriors, absent of Durant, were a championship-level team. But they didn't just lose Durant. They lost their depth. They lost Iguodala. Livingston wasn't good for them last year, but Livingston was good that 73-win season.
But they did. They added what kept Kevon Looney, Willie Cauley-Stein. Like, if they have Stein, Willie Cauley-Stein, Draymond Green, and a healthy Clay on the floor, that's three good defenders once Clay's healthy. You can protect. Now, again, the backcourt's not going to be good defensively.
But you can get through the regular
backcourt
season with that defense.
Yeah, they can't protect the rim. I mean, Willie Cauley-Stein has been a disappointment in Sacramento. He's come over. Wasn't a whole bunch of teams had interest in him. Looney is not a rim protector. Draymond is about 6'7", 6'8". Like, they don't have a lot of size on the court. So I can understand people saying they're going to be out of the playoffs and you saying, no, you're underestimating Golden State. But to think they're going to be one of the top teams, I saw them, man. And when you put Kevin Durant and you put all those minutes, him, Draymond, Steph, and Clay, you know what you lose? Developing younger players. And that's what you're getting ready to see now. Where are the younger players that they drafted and they're supposed to be now playing 10, 15 minutes? No, they haven't done a good job at that.
Yeah, I think they will be a playoff team. I've heard some people speculate, could they be the odd man out? Lakers are going to be in the playoffs after not being in it. Somebody's going to be bounced out. Oh, and so that, listen, I do not think they're going to miss the playoffs. But I think there's clearly a minimum of 5 teams in the West better than them. I think Lakers.
Now, again, they're not going to have Clay.
No, even Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Jazz, Rockets. Slot them how you want. I think at the end of the season, all those teams will be better than them. But there's one element of this we haven't discussed, which is a team that for 5 years not only gone to 5 finals and the wear and tear of that, but they are playing at that level. At the end of the year, that what gets you through the regular season is that carrot, which is we are the favorites to win a title. We can go win a title. We can set records. That's almost assuredly not going to be there for them this year. And then there's the personality issue that I'm really curious your thoughts on. Draymond Green expects a lot of money this coming offseason. There is going to be speculation all year that not only will the Warriors max him, but will they flip D'Angelo for picks, let Draymond walk, and all of a sudden have a max salary slot to offer up to try to bring someone else in alongside Steph and Clay. Throughout the year, Draymond's making $18 million. D'Angelo's making $27 million. You don't think with Iggy not there as almost a culture setter, you don't think that is a potential issue throughout the season?
No, because I think Draymond understands the situation. You know, he understands why D'Angelo's paid more than him. And I think, look, Draymond's in a contract year. And most teams understand he's in the perfect system for himself.
Yeah.
Going somewhere as a max guy, I mean, look, the Lakers obviously with Clutch, you know, Draymond's with Clutch now. They might be a possibility in the future. But outside of that, I don't know a ton of teams that would max him. So I think he's going to have to come out and have a great year. And I also think these guys are going to take this as a challenge. You know, everybody now that KD's gone, people think we're going to fall off. I agree with you. Without Clay, I don't think they're going to have a high seed. But if he's healthy 100% by the playoffs, then I think they could do some damage.
And maybe they could use that as motivation. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.